Together the spacemen sail the cosmic bay. From Jupiter to Saturn we'll deliver on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams, through the nebula's mist we'll forge our own schemes. In the vastness of space where no man has been, we'll navigate, chart the unexplored galactic highway. Give home maze upon the starry sea. We're the spacemen sailing through infinity. With our voices loud and our spirits free, we'll voyage across the celestial sea. Voyage across the celestial sea. Digging deep in the Martian soil, searching for that precious ore. With pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one, unearthing treasures under the sun. In the cratered plains where no one dreamt, we're the pioneers on this frontier we're sent. Oh, we mine on the red planet soil, drilling down, down, down for the treasures we toil. With grit and determination, we push ahead for Mars' hidden riches. We're truly bred. We're truly bred.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest stream. Hope everyone is doing well, or at least as well as can be. I just popped a button. My comment about the buttons keep falling off, well, here we are. Button off. How is everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. Anthony, Captain No Name, Phoenix Paul, hope you're all doing well. Thankfully it was the button, so it doesn't look bad. If you... So this is a new song. Got 2 new songs today.
When no one can hear, I'll sing my space shanty. Let the stars draw near, raising up the anchor, setting sails to the sky, bidding farewell to this world, no tears left to cry. With constellations as my compass, I'll navigate to the outer realms where my fate awaits. Oh, I'm a stargazer, drifting through the night, chasing dreams that sparkle like stars shining bright. I'll serenade.
Fair enough, Phoenix Paul, fair enough. For some reason my microphone sounds louder today. Not sure why. Testing, testing. Must be my ears. So that was an AI generated song, and so is this one. Good morning, D. Got my quantum monster that infuses the voice with some power. Also increases the potential of the voice. Yeah. When people don't shake the can before they give it to you. Although, I don't think that was intentional. Still bleh. Which leads me to believe that this is a flu more than hay fever. But a very weird flu, because it's only in the sinuses. Other than that, feeling okay. Voice is doing okay, as well as can be with, we'll say, dodgy sinuses, doing all sorts of weird stuff. But I have taken medication. My thought is it's weird that my antihistamines would be affecting it if it was a flu. But whatever. I don't care what it is, as long as it goes away. Got work to do. Got a channel to rebuild, chat. Gotta rebuild it. Been away for too long. Algorithms forgotten me. Gotta remind them who we are. Or something. Oh, excuse me. Yes, so am I. This is why this is the quantum one. This is just full of possibilities. It may or may not be full. It may or may not have caffeine in it. It may or may not taste nice. Although, quite honestly, it does taste nice. This is the sugar-free... left side. Sugar-free. The green one. So the original flavor of Monster, they've done a sugar-free version, which is actually quite nice. Oh, crap. I didn't do my exercise this morning. I just realized. Chat, I'm going to have to subject you to my physio exercises for the day. It's going to chase everybody away. But, hey, maybe some of you haven't seen what my physio entails. It is graphic. It is difficult. I will sweat. I will cry. And then I might start doing my physio. I will, however, have to turn the microphone down. Bubbles, indeed. Paul, think so? Yeah, I mean, some of the flavors are nice, but the sugar-free one actually tastes very much like the sugared one, which is very rare. Anyways, bubbles! Today, we blow bubbles. Tomorrow, we take over the universe. Or, you know, sleep in late because it's a Saturday. I don't know. Something. So, I'll walk you through my exercises. My vocal exercises. It is demeaning and childish, but I promise you this is what the doctors told me to do. I'm not making this up. I do sometimes think that they want to make their customers look infantile, but that's just a thought. So, my physio tool is this bottle of water with the magical straw that you can't see. There, we got a magical straw. Again, green screen. Fantastic stuff. Need to blow bubbles through straw. That's the exercise. Takes about 5 minutes, but somehow I forgot to do it today. Yeah, very much. There's plenty of bubbles to go around. So, yes, this is... I haven't increased the resistance this week, because I wasn't told to. And I didn't want to do it while my sinuses were doing whatever they're doing. So... I've just been keeping with the resistance that it was. So, to increase resistance, we put more water in. Right. Time to embarrass myself in front of the internet. Okay, Chad. I have an idea. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take a proper breath. A narrator's breath. And I want you to take a breath with me. And I want to see how long you can blow out. Just slowly, like, compared to me. Shall we see? Shall we see how bit deep of a breath you can take? You don't have to, if you don't want to. Are we ready? wasn't my best, but it was decent. I was also slouching, so that never helps. Oh, that's too straight. Come on, chair. Click. There we go. That's number 2. So the trick isn't lungs. Well, not really lungs. Here, the trick is diaphragmatic breathing. So your lungs are in your rib cage, and they can only expand so much, but they can always expand down. Now, when you do it normally, your diaphragm is pushing up against the lungs. With diaphragmatic breathing, you distend your diaphragm so that your lungs can extend downwards. So that's the difference between normal breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Also, I have a flu, so it's I can normally go for about a minute. Also, I'm changing the resistance. So the more resistance there is, the shorter I can go for. Obviously. Because I tightened the lid, therefore creating a sealed system for pressure. So there's more feedback. Excuse me. Yep. Excuse me. Yes, diaphragmatic breathing helps with projection and stuff like that as well. It is recommended for most voice actors, or all voice actors. Well, I mean, to be fair, I did smoke for 15 years as well. 20 years? 15 years? I can't remember. Very long time. Don't smoke anymore, but I did for a significant portion of my life. Alright, exercise number 2. So that's trying to start at the lowest I can go and go to the highest I can go. Good morning, Red and Tomo-K77. Hope you're doing well this morning. Busy quickly doing my exercises for the day. I forgot to do them earlier. I was a naughty professional. I was enjoying some salt and vinegar chips instead of doing my exercises. Good morning, Brian. I hope you're doing well. So this is slightly tightened. I'm as doing as well as I can be. Still getting over this flu or hay fever or whatever it is. It is still messing with my nose and postnasal drip, so. But, all things considered, a very minor gripe. That is exercise 2. Exercise 3 is the opposite. Starting at high, going as low as I can go. Fair enough, AJ. Fair enough. Always difficult to decide what time to start streams. But these ones are a lot easier because it's just replacing my work day. So when my voice is in the optimal way that it's going to be for the day. Unfortunately, that means that it is weird timing for everybody else. Yes, the vocal cord Jamhooka. Okay, the fourth exercise, yes, is the siren. So that's going low, high, low, high, low, high. As fast as you can. These exercises, in theory, should be okay for anyone to try. But rather check with the doctor first if you are going to try it. Good morning, Jai. Hope you're doing well. And Cool Boss, hope you're doing well as well. Good morning, William. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for the kind words. Much appreciated. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. As riveting as this particular set of content is, but gotta do what you gotta do. Good morning, Will W. Thank you for popping past, and hope you have a fantastic sleep. And the last exercise is the most infantile of them all. I have to sing Happy Birthday in my normal tone and in a high tone. Or hum Happy Birthday. Fantastic stuff. I'll have a look into that, AJ, but currently we're not worried about series. We've got several series queued up, and they take quite a while. One-shots are actually becoming a bit of a problem at the moment. Okay, that's it. It's done. I'm over it. More quantum monster. Either or. I don't read nearly as much fantasy as I used to. Kind of got bogged down with all the fantasy. So then I just basically read Terry Pratchett once I had enough of fantasy. So, I mean, I hit a wall where it was just like the same stuff over and over again. But I mean, this was long ago. So, the series, web novels of fantasy, they were interesting. But I think fantasy has more variance in between the chapters and stuff, or the stories. Yes, training to be the best squirrel that I can be. The best narrator, the best voice actor. Neither of these things, but we'll try anyway. Fair enough, AJ. I'll definitely try to remember that one. William Gold, I've done one audiobook. It's not been released yet. It's about time and money, quite honestly. Audiobook narrators don't really get that much money, especially if you're new to the industry. Being South African, I couldn't sign up to most of the services that connect narrators to authors. So I couldn't do that. So I built the channel and kept building the channel. I do have potentially a couple audiobooks on the horizon, but the cost is quite expensive for authors. Unfortunately. Well, not unfortunate. It's just the way it is. The ones that you're hearing that maybe aren't as experienced as I am, they're probably earning way less than minimum wage. I mean, I read Lord of the Rings when I was 16. That was kind of Dragonlance was my introduction to fantasy, and then I read Lord of the Rings. I think it was the Wheel of Time that really burnt me out. So here's how narrations normally work. Let me open up Paint. Just so I can maybe string a coherent thought together. Just as an explanation. I mean, it's very difficult to find this stuff out. You have to search, and it's a pain in the ass. Oh, that reminds me. We've had 5 streams in a row where I have not demonetized myself by swearing. So I've been a good boy the whole week. Today is the last day, so I'm trying to go for a full week without getting my stream demonetized, or limited. I'm just going to add a new window capture. Alrighty. So, as a narrator, you are paid per finished hour. What a finished hour is whatever the final timers. So if it's an hour of final recording, you get paid for 1 hour of work. That means, on average, 9,300 words per hour. That is the average narration speed. Some will be a bit faster, some will be a bit slower. But generally, people will speak at 9,300 words per hour. When you're new to narrating, it'll take you multiple tries to get a story or a section. So you have a ratio of 8 to 1. 8 hours of work to 1 hour of finished content. Or more, it really depends. The starting rate for a new, untested narrator is $40 per finished hour. I'm not sure what the problem is, Captain. It looks good on my side. Good morning, James. So, as a starting narrator, you will earn probably $5 per hour of work. As an author, however, if you write a book, which is on average a novel would be 75,000 words to 120,000 words, you will be spending, what's that? 75 divided by 9. Let's do our basic. That is 8. 8 complete hours to something, probably 12. No, that's not what I wanted. $13 hours. So as an author, you'll be paying between $320 and $600 for a book, which doesn't sound like much, but if you're a new author, that is a lot of money. If you're doing multiple books, it's even more money, and if you want a more experienced author, it'll be even more money. This is narration, Neko. Voice acting works on a per word basis. Narration works on a per finished hour basis. Don't bing at me. Right. So, someone like me would probably charge between $100 and $200 per finished hour. Probably a bit more than that. So 15 hours times 5, about $45. No, what I'm talking about. So that's finished hours, AJ. So there's a difference between finished hour and a work hour. So he'd get paid $40 per finished hour. So it would be 40 times 15, which will be, I do have a calculator open. So that'll be $600. It's the difference between a finished hour and a work hour. So they're getting probably $40 at the minimum per finished hour. How much work they put into that finished hour is on them. But a 15-hour audiobook costs $600 at the cheapest price. It'll cost $1,500 at a decent price. And if you want the best narrators, this is not me, they charge $200+ per finished hour. So that'll cost $3,000 or $4,000 for an audiobook, where you'll only earn 1/3 of the sales, or 1/2, depending on your contract. So it's a price thing. So let's go with First Contact. First Contact is 1,000 chapters long. I did up to chapter 500, and that was 15 10-hour audiobooks. So we can assume that at the end it'll be 30 10-hour audiobooks, which would cost somewhere in the region of 30,000 USD to narrate for an intermediately experienced narrator. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money, and it's difficult to make back. Thank you, Negaji. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad that it's helping you. And thank you for the kind words. Fair enough, Gerald. I hope that it is. Work, as always, should be quick and painless, but rarely is. So this would be an intermediate. And here's something that's a little bit worse than that. New author plus new narrator. Thank you very much, Darth Squirrel. It is very much appreciated. I'll put it with the others. I've been storing for winter. Thankfully, it is winter. So, a new author doesn't have money. That new narrator doesn't have a name. So you can do profit sharing. Sounds nice? Sounds great. The author will put in, let's say, I don't know how long it'll take to write a book, but a narrator will probably put in 40 to 100 hours into your average book. They will earn 33%, 25% of the sales if they do profit sharing, which sounds nice. But you're dealing with a new author, so there aren't many sales. So you might do 100 hours of work for less than $100 if you do the profit sharing route. Profit sharing, unfortunately, only works if a book is very popular. Amazon take half, the author takes half of what's left, and you get the other half, roughly. So most author narrators don't earn minimum wage in America. So they earn less than $5 an hour, $10 an hour for their work. Yeah. If it's narrated by the author, that's Phoenix Paul. I have the big thing for me is our styles are so vastly different that I don't see what would you call it? Not an easy way, but an acceptable way to mesh the two styles. Mine is over energetic, So it doesn't suit most other narrators' styles. I narrate like Mel Blanc. Most people narrate like narrators. So, I mean, if you're narrating your own stuff, you're still paying in time. And that's, if your time is worth the narrating of it, that's great. If not, then you pay somebody else to do it, if you can afford it. Yeah. I mean, it's the same with any business. You know, working for yourself is great when you've done it. But getting there, that's the problem. Being successful, building the relationships, getting the experience. It's all possible. But you need to persevere through all of that. Fair enough, Gerald. As far as I know, the beginning parts of First Contact was written when Ralts was in the army. Or military, rather. Yes. So Mel Blanc is Looney Tunes, or most of the voices of Looney Tunes that you would have ever heard from the original cartoons. But my style of narration is very different to it than a lot of people, especially on YouTube. So getting the two styles to mesh is not easy. I narrate very differently than a lot of people, especially like the horror stuff. But I think the horror stuff is sort of set in stone now, how you're supposed to narrate that. Because if you narrate it in any other way, people complain. But that's the way it is. I do know that my narration style isn't for everyone, but that's also good. Well, not only did he do the voices of all those characters, besides Porky Pig, he created all those voices. Porky Pig was originally done by somebody else. I know this because I happened to watch a documentary about this the other day. But Bugs, Daffy, all of those he created from scratch. So, interesting stuff. The other thing with narration is it's sold as an easy way to make side money. So there's a lot of competition at the entry level. Thank you, Lord Walpex. I appreciate that. But yes, so that entry level, because the barrier to entry is so low, all you need is a microphone. You can even use your phone if you really want. And there are lots of people online selling voice acting, narration, Fiverr work, all of that stuff as easy money. Which means that there are a lot of people trying it. When the market is oversaturated, it means that the money becomes less because there's too much of a market for it. The way I develop voices is probably very different to most people. I try random things until I get one that I like the sound of. And then I'll walk around randomly trying that voice out. And if I continue to sort of hone in on it, get better at it, and then once I've locked it in and I'm happy with it, then I can use it. And locking in is being able to have a basic conversation with the voice. So my wife is a saint. She deals with this insanity of me walking around the house talking to myself in different voices. How was your day today?
Well, it was fine, mister.
Oh, that's great. How are you doing at school?
Oh, I failed my classes.
You know, and I'd just be randomly walking around talking to myself, literally talking to myself. And she hasn't murdered me. So I think that means she loves me. I think that definitely is a sign of affection that she hasn't murdered me or sent me to the funny farm. So, I mean, there's also two things. There's a voice and an accent. So I'm trying to increase my accents, which is an automatic new voice, as well as a new voice, a new bass voice. Not a problem, Throwaway. Thank you for popping past. It's very much appreciated. Yes, they are coming to take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho. Hee hee, haha, to the funny farm. Well, I think not necessarily. The starting a business online is easy because the barrier to entry is so little. There's little investment. You can pretty much do it with all the stuff that you have currently. So I think starting to get ready for a business, you can do as much as you want because you need to gain the experience. And it's better to gain experience as quick as possible. But the problem with that is not only burning yourself out, but doing physical damage to yourself. So you have to trot this fine line. So I did the physical damage to myself, but I got the success. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we all do the same thing. Just in a different format. We do voices. I mean, I don't consider myself a voice actor, but mainly because the actor part rather than I can do the voices. The acting part's a bit iffy. Fair enough, Neko. Yeah. Well, yes. You gotta put. Yeah, fair enough. But I'm talking about just your own business, Jay. So you don't need any of those requirements. I mean, when you're going out into the real world, yes, you need to say no and you need to know your own value. But you'll never know your own value if you don't know your own skill. So it's a two-part problem. I can say to authors, I want X amount of money per hour, because if they say no, it doesn't really change my life too much. I can just keep doing the YouTube thing. Yeah, I mean, some people don't think this is a job, what I do. I mean, it's not a hard job. It's also not an easy job. It's just a job. I enjoy it. But the enjoyment came second. The desperation and just trying and then going 110% for 2 years to get something. That came first. Now that I don't have to worry about putting food on the table every month, it's going to be there. Yeah, now I enjoy it a lot more. But I think that's with anything. Once you've got a bit more security, you can sort of take a bit more retrospective of what you're doing. But it is a counterpoint to only do what you enjoy, because I would never have guessed that I would enjoy narrating. It wouldn't even have crossed my mind. So if I only ever did what I enjoyed, I would never have done this. And I'd enjoy it now. So if you only ever try to look for jobs that you think you're going to enjoy, you'll never find a job that you might enjoy in the future. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, those are normal business traps when dealing with clients. They're always going to try shaft you. I mean, I used to own a tattoo store, and people would come in and haggle for the price of a tattoo. And I would say to them, if you're willing to buy a cheap tattoo, then you're willing to buy a crap tattoo. So you can go buy the crap tattoo from somebody else. We charge you the price we charge because we have to pay for stuff. Well, we've got my boss. Boss is sleeping on the job. But if I say anything wrong, he'll definitely attack my leg. That would be the cat sitting on the side here. Nice warm room. Yeah. That's also not a new thing. I mean, when I was first looking for a job, would have been 20 years ago. It was the same stuff. It's like, you need work experience. You're like, okay, where do I get work experience? I'm like, we don't care, just get it. Like, okay. And then you need these degrees. You're like, but I don't need these degrees. Especially working in IT. You have people with the wrong ideas of what IT is. They're like, no, you need a university degree. And you go, well, that might be the case, but if you do a university degree, your information is 4 years out of date, which in IT is forever. Yes, passed out. I think it's because this is the warmest room in the house, because we're heading into autumn now, which could explain the flu/hay fever. All right, I think we got to get some work done. And that's fair, Jay. I think being honest and, for lack of a better word, upstanding. So if you make a mistake, be honest and upstanding about it. Eat the cost of whatever it is. Yeah. So we're 2 seasons away off of north. Well, just north. The northern hemisphere. So, yeah, we're heading into winter. Yeah, definitely heading into winter. So we're basically just 12 months off, or 12 months, 6 months, weather-wise, off from the northern hemisphere. Or you're 6 months ahead of us. So when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's winter here. If it's autumn in the northern hemisphere, it'll be spring in this. If it's spring in this northern hemisphere, it'll be winter, autumn, or fall in the southern hemisphere. So not only do I have completely wrong weather compared to most of my audience, I'm also 12 hours away, 10 to 12 hours away in time. Yeah, that's because the henna they were using has basically an acid in it. So the acid eats into the skin particles and it allows the staining of the skin. However, if the acid is too strong or base, it'll eat multiple layers into the skin rather than just the top couple, and it can cause permanent damage and scarring if the acid's too strong. Today is, I don't know what the temperature is today. Probably like 20 degrees centigrade. Thank you for the super chat, Phoenix. It's very much appreciated. I hope your work day goes quickly and without incident. And I hope you have a fantastic one. Thank you again for the super chat. It's very much appreciated. It looks like cheese. It's just a big chunk of cheese floating across the sky. Right. Work. We're gonna change some stuff around here. We're gonna open up. So, some of you may not know this, but I'm trying to get my American accent a little better. Depends on the time of year. Normally it looks like Parmesan, but in summer it looks like mozzarella, just melting because of the heat. Right. We're doing this. Hello? Is this? No? What the hell is this? It's on my screen. Well, I wouldn't know if it's upside down. I've only ever seen it one way around. Fair enough. Fair enough. Are you seeing these two blue stripes on this screen? Because I am. I am. What the hell is causing that? We're having a malfunction, people. Malfunction. It's not that. Oh, I know what it is. It's the damn dog. That side. Okay, that confused me quite seriously. That was the green screen. There was a crease in the green screen. For some reason, the light wasn't getting rid of the shadow. Yes. Oh, it's because of my special drink. I can phase in between particles. To you, it looks like I'm going invisible. To me, I'm just shifting phase. The illusion was broken. Oh my gosh. How will we ever recover from this? Favorite story ever. It's a really, really old one. It's like within the first 50 stories I ever did. The universe looked on to humanity and they were progressing at a rapid rate, like faster than any species before us, breaking records, just tearing up the tech tree. And one of the commanders in the story that was charting uncharted space bumps into the armada that was sent to welcome us. And they didn't understand what was going on because they looked at Earth 300 years ago and they saw ships and they knew that within 1,000 years they would have airplanes. So like, how did you advance so much? And the captain was like, boredom. So basically ADD. Humanity has ADD. And that's why we're taking over. Now that one stuck with me. Yes, that would cause a sticky situation, it would. Anyways, what are we doing? Work. Story name. Origins. One of these days, I might actually have to go find out what the name of that story was. I know who the author was. It was Real Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle. Yeah, very much. I mean, the thing with technology is one discovery can change everything. So without that discovery, it might take 1,000 years. With that discovery, it'll take 2. That sort of thing. So accelerates everything. But one will never know whether we find that or not. Look at fusion. I mean, it has been theorized and worked on for over 100 years. And we're not that much closer now than we were 100 years ago. And they got it working in one experiment, and they've never been able to replicate it. So, who knows? Could be another 100 years, or maybe somebody finds it tomorrow. Some guy in their shed. Fair enough, Neko. Fair enough. It was a decent story, if I remember correctly. However, my memory of stories has declined. Not because my memory is bad, but just because of how many stories I've read. There also seems to be, like, waves of themes. So you'll have a lot of similar stories coming out very quickly, like one another. Fair enough, never mind. Fair enough. Alrighty. We shall do some work. For those of you that are new, and I do see some new names, I am going to be narrating, doing my work, my job. So the first thing is I take the story and I assign voices to the various characters. Then we'll head over to recording mode, where I will record the story like this, so that the raw footage has the green screen in it, which allows the editor, my wife, to do the stuff. So if you don't want to get spoiled on the story, then this is your chance to leave or plug your ears. But if you are interested and want to listen, then we will continue. I'd like to think that the creation process and the ending story are different enough to be enjoyed, but that's just me. Thank you, Neko. Good luck, and thank you for the well wishes. That is correct, AJ. Once I start actual recording, I will ignore you, all of you, for a better product. No, I'm glad, Zanti. I really am. Okay, so we've got 2 aliens speaking to a non-alien. I think the non-alien will be M10. The famous M10. M10. That is very true, Jay. That is why oftentimes science fiction predicts the future, it's because it actually caused the future. It didn't predict it.
I think we shall go with a little bit of a snooty voice for the aliens, or the first alien.
Not M1, M3, and M4. And yes, I do give aliens annoying voices. It's kind of what HFY is. I give humans good voices, I give aliens bad voices. Unless they're very good aliens. M10. This will be a sort of 8-minute story, roughly. M10. M10. M1. M3, M3, M4, M4, M10, M10. M1, M10, not 10, 4, or 3, M3. M10, and M10, M3, M3, M10, 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 M10. M10 is talking a lot. M3, M10, M4, M4, M10, yeah, short one, M4, M10, M1, M10. And M10 again. M3. M10. M1. 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 Okay, I think that is it. Went pretty quick. Only 3 voices, which isn't too bad. Then we shall copy it and put it in the teleprompter. Alrighty, we can close that. Get the recording software ready. Good morning, Banana. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you had a nice time at the beach. Right, recording mode. Glasses off. Audio recording, and away we go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet, read them for your entertainment. Now, the algorithm has been a bit mean to me recently, so if you could like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube stuff, including comments, it would be very much appreciated. Just to remind the algorithm that this channel is still kicking. Anyways, onto the story. Origins by Marilyn of Many. 2 figures approached a third for a conversation of moments important. 2 figures approached a third for a conversation of momentous importance. Of the 2, neither moved easily on the planet's gravity, but both did their utmost to proceed with decorum. One was tall and slender, with skin the color of the void and eyes as wide as forever. Its fingers were spindly and delicate. Its mouth was pursed in a thin line. It moved slowly to disguise the strain of the world on its bones. The other was short and sturdy, as strong as a hyperdrive, with fur as pale as the starlight, and teeth as sharp as the sun. It clenched its jaw. It moved slowly, so it didn't stumble and spring upwards to where the planet's pull was even less. The third was a native of this world, in its own form much the middle ground between the 2. And it watched their approach with unabashed joy. "Hello!" the native said, matching the mouth sound with mind sound appropriate to the civilized race. "Welcome, can you understand me?" The 2 visitors confirmed that they did, and they came with questions. "Well, sure, if I can ask some too," the native replied with a smile. "What is life like out there in the stars?" The tall one spoke first.
Life is rebuilding, it said carefully, conserving its breath. War destroyed the network, our connections and travel, and many generations have gone into regaining what we once had. The short one stood very still as it spoke. Some of us make strides faster than others. The tall one gave it a sharp enough look to cut the ship's hull, but the short one stared ahead at the native, ignoring it. "Wow, so it's true," the native said, gesturing vaguely upward. "They say there were some supernovas in every part of the sky ages ago. Then the cosmos went silent." It lowered its arms and then spread them in welcome. "I'm so glad you've come." The tall one positioned its hands in a complicated shape that said that it had a delicate matter to discuss. The only people to use that exact hand shape were those of its own world. On its own world, but its tone was hard to miss now. We followed the traces of the old civilization. We followed the traces of the old civilization that we could find, it said. Old records are gone, but new technologies are here.
And so are we, interrupted the short one.
And so are we, interrupted the short one. And so are you. Tell us, how are your records of the past?
I think you've got it pretty well figured out, the native said. We did lose some things in our own upheaval, about the time we ran out of resources for space travel. But the idea of leaving the planet has been unfashionable since then. Round upon, sin-filled even, just not done. But that doesn't mean that we will hold anything against you guys.
The native raised his hands in a hurried reassurance.
You can travel all you want. We're just focusing on the planet instead of space now. We've fixed a lot of things, and I tell you, we're still exploring the sea.
The two visitors blinked politely, processing the avalanche of words. The tall one opened its mouth to say something, but the short one got there first. Can you tell us which of our races is older? It asked, and therefore the best remained. Unspoken.
The native splayed out its hands briefly. Oh, not off the top of my head, it said. We'd have to check those records.
The tall visitor made a dismissive gesture and spoke in a tone meant to clarify. Both of our cultures trace their origins to this region. Both of our cultures trace our origins to this region. It gave a short one another sharp look. There has been some competition.
I bet there has, the native said,
with a sympathetic shake of its head. Then it brightened.
Hey, did you ever meet any real aliens?
Dumbstruck expressions were all that the two visitors would come up with for a long moment. Real aliens? The tall one asked.
Yeah, you know,
the native said, moving a finger back and forth between the three of them.
Not based on humans.
When silence greeted it again, it continued.
Anything that is not a humanoid shape. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face, something like this.
It waved a hand around its head. That is the universal constant for intelligent life, the tall one said, its eyes wider than before. The only logical form that it could take.
Oh, dang! Guess not, the native said.
What do you mean? The short one barked. Based on humans. Now it was the native's turn to look surprised.
But you know you came from here. You just said.
The short one flung its arms sideways and nearly toppled over. Somewhere around here, yes, but obviously only one of us descended from you. We're too different.
Well, yeah, that's the gene of splicing, the native said, looking from one to the other. The whole thing around colonizing other worlds. We had to change somehow to better fit the different environments. Like you're obviously from a heavy gravity world, right? Probably a cold one, pale fur, you know.
The short visitor nodded in shock, nearly unbalancing again.
And you're either a tiny planet with a low gravity or a gas cloud with barely any at all. Either the planet is hotter than this one, or the gas cloud doesn't have much ozone to filter out the sun's radiation. Dark skin, we have a whole rainbow here.
The tall visitor nodded as well, but the native kept talking.
Now, I haven't read up on the subject since school, but I remember there was a bunch more. One had scales. Are they still around?
Yes, the tall visitor admitted. They have the fastest ships of us all. The native clapped its hands together.
Oh, good for them!
It stepped forward, holding out a hand to each visitor.
Please come meet everybody. They'll be so happy to see you. Welcome home.
The tall visitor and the short one each looked at the hand. The tall visitor and the short one looked at the hand spread in front of it, 5 fingers, just like their own, with skin of a light brown. Family. Slowly and wordlessly, they both reached out to clasp the hands. They looked at each other briefly, sharing a moment of unnameable emotions and whirling thoughts. What would they say to their people back home? But that was a problem for later. The native was urging them forward, leading the way towards civilization, where their futures and their shared past awaited. End of story. Alrighty. What's that? Bit of fluff. Alrighty, let's catch up with chat. Did you miss me, chat? I went away. I'm back now. Don't worry. I wouldn't abandon you. Ah, yes. Very live stream. As live as it can get. Wait, just... Yep, definitely live. I think there might be, but I think this is just a standalone. I didn't see any links to other stories. Trying. The problem is some of the words. The inflection is very different than my normal way of talking. And the difference really becomes... you want an American accent, you don't want a caricature of an American accent. So you don't want to like overdo it and be satirical with it. And it's a fine point. So I feel when I put too much effort into it, it's like gone past accent and into like satirical or just over-accented. Good morning, Marcus. I hope you're doing well. I'm recovering as well as can be. I have a flu/hay fever, not sure which, that I've been battling the whole week. But as for the voice, it is about 50% back to normal. Maybe more. Yeah. The hay fever/flu definitely affects the old vocal cords. James, he's talking about the male voice 10. The American one. Or trying to be American. All right. That was a nice quick story. To put us all to... Fair enough, James, but in me expanding my repertoire, I think having an American voice would be beneficial, which is why I'm working on it, or trying to. Hello, Captain. Hope you're doing well. All right. Second story. Second verse, same as the first. Well, not quite. The Gunrunner, written by Ouija Warrior. I think why I'm struggling with the American one is I don't really have a voice that I'm basing it off of. So a referential voice. It makes it a lot more difficult to try and replicate. Alrighty. This one should be a short one, 3 minutes or so. No, second story for the first video. First one was just 8 minutes long. So I always try to have at least a 10-minute video. So I think 10 minutes warrants an advert at the beginning and end. So that's my personal thought. A minimum of 10 minutes. So this will probably be 11-ish minutes. Yep, definitely Wolfos, definitely. With a different accent this time. Yes, we shall take over the world. Yippee! Anyways, on to the voices. You can move over there for now. Right, M1.
M1. See, the big difference for me is I'm not doing it on a permanent basis. So Gary Oldman and all of those guys, they'll hold that accent for months, for weeks and months. I don't. So it won't or shouldn't affect my voice. I'm also not only doing one accent, I'm doing a bunch. So it shouldn't affect my normal accent a bit much, although my normal accent is a bit more Americanized now than when I first started, but that's just catering towards an American audience, rather than doing specific accents. Well, a southern accent is, I think, a lot easier to do because it's a lot more exaggerated than a normal one. I mean, I've heard, who was it? Some actor. He's done, well, he is an American and he did a South African role in a story. And he's like, nope, it's one of the hardest accents to do because it's completely different to American. So, there's that. M1. We'll go with M2. M1. I think we shall do. What are we doing? Villainous. Villain with villainous. M7. I'm Captain, so American, but I do want to do Central American, USA specifically. Central USA, which is a very general American accent, a Southern American accent, and then what else? Australian is an accent. Yeah, I think that's those three. But I mean, an accent is you're basically learning a new language. Even though it's the same words, they're pronounced differently with different enunciation and emphasis. So it takes up space. It takes space. M2. To me, personally, Canadian accent, just general Canadian accent and an American accent are very similar. Also, a lot of my audience isn't Canadian. Most of my audience is American. Yeah, fair enough, AJ. I'll look into that. The problem is also I don't want to imitate their voice because that can cause problems as well. M7.
Yes, we will not answer that question.
M2. M7. M7. M2. 7. I would say that media in general has unified a lot of accents. So I've bumped into South Africans with convincing American accents because they just consume American media all the time. And you go, oh, where are you from in America? And they're like, well, no, I'm from down the street. And you're like, oh, are your parents American? Like, no, they're from Cape Town. You know, and you're like, okay, but why are you talking like an American? Why I'm not talking like an American? And you're like, okay, fair enough, sure. M2. My wife wants to ask a question. She walks in with a notepad and writes the question on the notepad and flashes the notepad at me. It has to be a yes and no question, so I can either shake my head or nod. That particular question is, what are we having for lunch? Friday is takeaway day. Nom nom takeaways, or fast food, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you've also got accent and then words. So, takeaways versus fast food. Drive-through, I think Americans call it. So the word choice also matters when you're doing an accent. M7. M7. M2. 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 M1. M7. M2. This guy's getting voluntold what to do. That is a loud car. Sounds like an angry bear driving past. Well, it's not only how they roll off, it's word choice. So we call traffic lights robots here, just as a very specific example. So whenever anybody talks about a robot, they're talking about traffic lights in South Africa. So the robot's broken, or the robot's on the fritz, or whatever that. They're talking about the traffic lights. So if you hear somebody talking about robots, they're probably South African or related. Well, then DoorDash will probably be the closest. We are getting Chinese food for lunch, dinner, slunch, supper and lunch combined. M7. Interesting thing. CIA, I think it was the CIA, did a study on how long somebody can maintain a false accent. And it was so unreliable that they don't try to do that anymore. They find somebody with the accent that they want, and they make them an agent. Because when you're doing an accent, and you run into a word that you've never said in that accent, and you're not used to saying in that accent, you will automatically go back to your original accent. And this happens years after the fact. So, talking is all about muscle memory. When you're learning a new accent, it's a new set of muscle memories. But when you haven't built a specific muscle memory of a word in the new accent, it'll default to your original language or accent. That's why occasionally, well, not occasionally, when I'm talking in an accent and there's a new word, you'll hear that it'll go suddenly, drastically to my normal accent, and then back to whatever accent I'm doing. So for spies, they don't try to teach people how to keep an accent, master of disguise, because it doesn't work. You're either learning it as your primary language, which will take years, as long, if not longer, than learning a main language, or you find somebody with the accent you want and make them a agent. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look at England, how many variations of the English accent there are. And some of them you wouldn't understand. I mean, it reminds me of my wife, who's a South African English first language. She couldn't understand my mother because the Scottish accent was so thick. And so thick means she had a little bit of a Scottish accent. But if you're not dealing with that accent on a daily basis, it becomes difficult to understand. Now, my gran, she had a thick accent. My mom, not so much. Same as my grandfather on my dad's side has a thick Cockney accent, or had a thick Cockney accent. Not super thick, but thick enough that people would struggle to understand him. Fair enough, James, fair enough. Yeah, it takes a while to get in here. I mean, me and my wife used to do these, what do they call it, fun walk, whatever. So they have it for free on a weekend and you go. And we did this one for a couple months. And one of the wardens, whatever they're called, that stop traffic for you, we'd walk past and I would say good morning and we'd have a quick little chat. And I would walk past with my wife, and then about 10 meters down the road, she'll turn to me and she said, "What did you guys say?" We're like, "No, it's, you said whatever he said." Because he had a pretty thick Scouse accent. Well, thick Scouse accent. So I struggled to understand it. And my wife just could not pass it. All right. Second story of the day, chat. Are we excited? It's only a 3-minute long story, but it'll be a good one, I think. Soon as I get all the recording stuff into place. Right. Video recording. Audio recording. Scouse is, difficult to get Scouse. So it's Liverpool or thereabouts. So it's a specific poor part of London, or England, not London, called Liverpool, and it's their accent that they have there. It's kind of like Cockney, but different. It's really difficult to explain. Yeah, I mean, so this guy was probably, obviously, he lived in South Africa for a very long time, so he didn't have a super, super thick Scouse accent. And I grew up with one of my dad's friends, or business associates, or whatever. He had a very thick Scouse accent as well, so I was kind of used to it. But it's still very, it's very difficult to understand. Especially if you're not used to it. Anyways, on to recording mode. Recording mode set. There's hundreds of accents. I mean, even just in England versus Scotland versus Ireland, I don't understand some of the Scottish. Some of the Scottish don't understand some of the Scottish. If you've ever watched Hot Fuzz, well, that part where you have the guy from London talking to the guy who's from the village, talking to the guy that was from the, older guy from the village talking to a farmer, that's basically England. You need multiple translators, just move from one county to the next. Anyways, chat, I'm going to ignore you for the next couple minutes. Got some work to do. Some quick work. Story number 2. The Gunrunner, written by Ouijan Warrior. Sir Alttissi looked up in disbelief towards his door. Towards where his door had been until a second ago, he corrected himself. A Terran wearing a long coat stepped over the smouldering remains, casually pointing a Mark V flechette pistol at him. Behind him, 2 Terran Espatiers. Behind him, 2 Terran Espatiers in combat armor, holding heavy assault rifles, filed in and scanned the room. Despite himself, Sir briefly pondered how much those weapons could have been sold for on the black market. Sir Alttissi, the leading Terran asked, bringing Sir back to the here and now. Sir ducked his head low. Yes? Fidgeting, Sir thought of the hidden panel behind him and the merchandise it concealed. If there had only been one Terran, he might have had a chance. Gunrunner, smuggler, wanted on 5 worlds so far. Supplier to several low-life organizations. We will not answer that question. We will not answer that question. You don't have to. Consider your current contracts voided. We want, Sir said as he forked his tongue slid over his lips, a lawyer. No, the Terran replied. You do not. We ask if you can make it quick and painless in that case. Oh, you're not. Oh, you're in it for the long haul, sir, but the amount of suffering is up to you, and please step away from that hidden compartment. We don't want any accidents. Sir thought hard as he took 3 steps sideways. The panel should be invisible. But, Terrans, if we cooperate, Sir said after a couple of seconds, can we at least request which prison planet? You're not going to. You're not going to no prison planet. You're not going to no prison, the Terran stated as he slipped his handgun into a hidden holster. You're coming with us. Sir glanced at himself as he recalled the rumors of Terran justice, then glanced towards the hidden panel. If he made a dash, he would likely be gunned down before he reached it. It might be a preferable option. Don't try anything dramatic, the Terran said. Do not try anything dramatic, the Terran said as he stepped between Sir and the panel. Just consider this a rather definitive way of gaining a new employer. Sir blinked, looked at himself, then looked at the Terrans. The Terrans had their weapons. You want us to work for you? Yes, Yes, you do not get a choice. Sir blinked again and stared at the Espatier's heavy armor and rifles in disbelief. But Terran weapons are the most sought after in the sector. Why would you need a small-scale gunrunner? We cannot get you anything better. The Terran drew his lips up, fangs showing in the light that came through the demolished door. We know! That's why we want you to, how do I phrase this, get our weapons to the people we want to have them, and not the ones who can pay for them. End of story. Mouse. All right. Chat. William. Okay, so there will be no more first contact. The author has signed an exclusivity deal with Amazon, so I cannot legally narrate anymore. All of the books and the audiobooks are available on Audible and Amazon. It's under the title Behold Humanity. Not the ones who can pay. Alrighty, we're done with the stories for today. I just want to take it easy on my voice today, because we've had a week of post-nasal drip, so it's not happy. But I'm quite happy with what we've done this week. Bunch of streams, bunch of narrations. Forced myself to work. When I could merrily have just crawled under the desk next to the captain and fell asleep. Right. Stream mode initiated. Yeah. That was my face on the screen. Yeah. What am I doing? Oh, right. Background images. So, I have a question, chat. For those that are paying attention. Would you be interested if I moved my 24-hour stream to Twitch and Rumble as well, in addition to YouTube? Would that be something you'd be interested in? Is it something I should investigate? Because at least on Twitch, I could receive people's Prime subscriptions, which does send some money my way, which is great. I think maybe doing the Twitch one might grow my audience a bit, but I'm not sure. Because they have a 24-hour stream subsection of Twitch and Rumble. So there is a place for it. Fair enough, Samantha, fair enough. I mean, it shouldn't, in theory, be too difficult. The only thing... Fair enough, James. YouTube is clogged with a lot of crap. Well, Marcus, if you do have a Prime, I have this excellent Twitch channel that could definitely use it. He's honest. He's good looking. He's got a very, very distinctive beard. Humble too, just ridiculously humble. He would definitely take that Prime subscription from you. That was a joke, people. A joke. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's true. It is full of bullcrap. Well, I suppose it's like every minute of the day, there's like 27 days worth of content uploaded to YouTube. yes, humble. This is very, very. Yeah, so like every minute there's 27 days or some ridiculous number of content uploaded to YouTube. There's so much stuff that it would be almost impossible to keep track of. Hell, even now in the HFY space with all the AI channels spewing stuff forward, it makes it difficult to keep track. Yeah, I do know what I've heard the word genteel. I just haven't can't remember what it means. Just sending some emails. I'm sure you'll all understand me not putting that up on the screen. Blammo. What does genteel actually mean? Exaggerated. Yeah, that's basically what I thought it meant.
Searching for that precious ore with pickaxes and heavy hearts. We're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one.
What's interesting, just random, I don't even know whether I'm allowed to talk about this. Oof. Anybody here like watch Twitch stuff? Am I allowed to talk about Twitch numbers? I know YouTube was against it for a very long time, like a ridiculously long time, where you couldn't even like talk about vague numbers of your channel. What am I doing? I'm doing the wrong thing. That's what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm surprised how much the free subscriptions give. I always thought it was a lot less than that. Especially for a free subscription. Gauche, Leopard. I do. Premium pays per advert. So instead of seeing an advert, the system will recognize that you have premium, and then it'll pay me a certain amount based on the advert. That'll pay me the minimum amount that an advert would pay if you had watched an advert, to make that very convoluted. But yes, so every advert you pay, it pays me a little bit from premium. So premium still works. I think there's actually like a third of my ad revenue comes from premium. Fair enough, James, but unfortunately it is still the #1 streaming platform. Nothing I can do about it. Discoverability on YouTube streaming is almost impossible. I think every platform has its own problems. fair enough, Brian. I mean, it's always good to look at other platforms. But my personal, just for like videos, unless you're like massively large, YouTube is still the best platform for you. So you still earn the most ad revenue. You get the most discoverability. On Rumble, I've earned $10. On the podcast, I barely pay the cost of the podcast every month through views from the podcast. So it may be not great, but it's still the best of the worst for video content. Same as Twitch. Twitch is definitely the best of the worst for streaming. Excuse me. Yeah, what am I doing? Oh, generating a thumbnail. Making a thumbnail. Stories. Origins. 3 very different. One human and 2 aliens. Different looking aliens. Different looking aliens. So, pointing at each other. We'll try and do the Spider-Man meme. Pointing at each other. We'll see how that goes. Thank you, Donald. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. I have full range for the first time in many, many years. But stamina is still a problem, which is, a common problem for middle-aged men. But in this case, it's something I can do with some exercises. I should be able to get back to full recording schedule within the next couple months. Unfortunately, the operation and then not working for so long has caused atrophy and damage. So there's a lot of stamina loss. But we'll get there. These streams are part of that recovery process, as well as multiple eggs in multiple baskets. That way, scrambling some eggs becomes really difficult. Marcus, the ones on YouTube is auto-generated either from my YouTube channel or they're from my podcast channel. Good morning, Soaring Tales. I hope you are doing well this Friday, getting ready for the weekend ahead. Unless you're working, well, you're still getting ready for that, I suppose. Imagine 3 aliens pointing at each other. Like the Spider-Man meme. Yeah, definitely want to shake the eggs before moving. Well, I mean, it's almost lunchtime for me. I've got takeaways. Nom's takeaways. Chinese food. Nom nom. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Having a nice relaxing day is always good. Derbyshire? Derbyshire. Derbyshire. Oh, yeah. If you really want, you can listen to me on Spotify. All my stuff's there as well. Although I don't update the podcast as much as I should. What do you want to do with the microphone, Soaring Tales? Are you thinking of streaming or are you thinking of doing something else? Derbyshire. Okay, so this isn't generating anything. Imagine. Right. We're gonna have to help the stupid AI to do what I want. Damn it. Don't do what I say. Do what I want. Just communicating with the algorithm, the AI. Sometimes you need to remind it who's boss, which is, obviously the algorithm. Algorithm's always the boss. You're probably, you're not in a studio or anything, so then you're looking for a corded microphone. Don't get a Yeti. They're not good. They're not great, should I say. They're decent, but they're not great. Oh, you got a Yeti. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Look, I know people talk a lot of crap about the Shure SM7B, but it's so popular because it does stuff. So there's a Shure SM7B with a extra thick pop filter. It very, very targeted. Removes a lot of background noise. You can also look at, you definitely want a corded microphone, not a studio microphone, because studio microphones pick up a fly's fart in another room. That's how sensitive they are. Whereas a corded microphone is very directional. My first one was really crap. My second one was decent, which was a Samson microphone. Which one was it? Look, it's good at what it does, which is remove a lot of the background noise. So you need to fiddle with the settings a bit, but once you've got the settings dialed in, it works nicely. All my content's done through the show. Even though I have bought more expensive microphones, but those were studio mics. Yeah, I mean, I don't use a mixer. I just go directly into my Focusrite and then into the computer. So this that you're hearing is just OBS with some noise filter and Focusrite. So there isn't, I don't do a lot of voice alteration. But I do know that the Shure SM7B can be quite expensive. So if you want a more budget one, which is one that I used for about 2 years, which was the Samson CO1U Pro. It's about $100, I think. It is decent. It is also a I want to say ACX. I think it's ACX. Whatever the connector is. It's not a USB microphone. So that one's not too bad. That one's very finicky. You have to get it in a very specific spot to get a nice sound. Yeah. Look, I think for general use, which is what you're talking about, the Shure SM7B or the other one, which is the Shure Micro something, which is both USB and ACX. I've heard that one's also quite decent. Yes, it is random chat time. I think it is, yeah, it's an MV7. So that is both USB and ACX. Not ACX. ACX is the website for Audible. Yes, it's the MV7 USB or XLR. So it's about half the price. They do have a combined one. And then you just want to snap a nice pop filter on. So what? The Shure SM7B is about $400, so that'll be about £300. Then you need a decent mic stand. So I've got the Rhodes mic stand, which is quite nice. Yeah, that's basically what I do, Soaring. I'm sure it'll work. I mean, my walls, for instance, is batting for duvet material. XLR, yes. That is the term. For some reason, every time I think XLR, I think ACX. But the two are not related in any way. But for some reason, my brain just links the two. So, yeah. I mean, I've got the Rhodes one, which is what a lot of people use. The only thing that I have a problem with the microphone, if I may, is this connector here. Is part of the microphone. So it limits the angles that you can use. But it does mean that the cable isn't hanging out the back. So here I can only turn it so much before this hits the tightening bolts for the swing arm. Soaring? No. I'm just using OBS. I'm not using any other software. When I record to my computer, I use Audacity with direct feed from the microphone. And then OBS, I just run... what do I run? Thank you very much for the follow, Soaring Tales. Where am I? I'm not good at microphone filters. So the only filters I'm running is a compressor, a gain, and a noise gate. Noise gate cuts a specific level of noise out, but that reduces the whole volume. So I add gain to push it up to a nice volume. And then compressor just normalizes the volume, or tries to normalize the volume. So the peaks and valleys kind of squished. So it means that the volume is more normalized throughout. I think the other thing is just getting used to where the microphone is in relation to your mouth. That's most of the hard work done. Fair enough, James. Fair enough. A pirate? Well, is mostly free until they get caught. So, I mean, I use the so you can hear a bit of a difference when I take the pop filter off. But, yeah, I'm used to the volume. So when I first set up the microphone on the computer, I use Audacity and the interface to set the volume so that when I speak normally, I don't peak. And then I just don't change the setting. So I do it physically on the interface. So I don't really need to have a voice meter per se. So you just got to make sure that when you're talking normally, that you're not peaking. And then you should be fine. anti-joke helmet. Yeah. I think that's called earphones. Good morning, Zach. Well, actually, afternoon. It just turned afternoon for me. I hope you are doing well today. What am I doing? Oh, I'm fusing an AI bot. So Shure comes with two. One's a thin one, which is what most people use. Because I live in a mostly quite loud area, I use the thicker one as a bit of extra background removal. So the easiest way to get rid of pops is to move the microphone to your side and talk forward. So when you're making a pop sound, it's going this way, and the microphone will not pick it up. Also with plosives are, that's plosives, but same sound, no plosive. So you just put your microphone slightly off center, and you don't have to worry about plosives and pops. I find that the screens that they put in front of the mic just gets in the way between my face and just feels too big. So I like the one that comes with this show. Yes, very much. Once you get used to where the mic should be in relation to your voice, so it takes a little bit of tweaking to get used to where you should put your mic. But once you've gotten used to it, then it's better than any software fix, because it'll carry over to your next microphone, positioning it in a better place. Fair enough, Leopard. I hope you have a fantastic day and a very enjoyable weekend. Good morning, Andy. I hope you're doing well this morning. So I use, strangely enough, also Shure inline microphones. So the problem I found with the big ones, especially in hot environment, is you sweat a lot with the over the ear headphones, and it causes a lot of ear infections for me. So I stopped using those, and I go with these ones, so it's not as hot, so my ears can breathe, and I've had a lot less problems with them. These ones aren't too expensive. These are the Shure ones. You've got the cheaper Shure ones, and you've got the more expensive ones. I think I had the trying to remember. I've had several different headphones. Sure, whatever, definitely. So it's only a coincidence that these are Shure. I'm not a Shure fanboy. It's just when I was looking for inline monitors, they were the only ones that had a commercial model available for a relatively cheap price. But yeah, so the breathability is just for me. So I live in a hot environment, didn't have aircon. So it was the easiest option. Steinhaus makes some good headphones. If you want to look into those. I think those were my last ones was Steinhaus. Steinberg. DeSoda only when my voice is fully recovered. So I might still have full range currently, but I do not have full stamina. At the moment, we're doing better than we were 2 weeks ago, but we still aren't anywhere near where I used to be. So unfortunately, TFOS comes first above all else because it generates more views. So once I can do all the TFOS I need to do quicker, then I can start doing series. But I expect that to be in a month or two, judging by how slow the stamina is coming back. And then also getting sick. That doesn't help. Good morning, Nigel. I hope you're doing well. Let me just figure out what's happening. No? There we go. The Druid Life. Thank you very much for the follow. It is very much appreciated. So, weird thing. Twitch alerts don't work on restream.io. For those planning to stream. Right, let's do a thumbnail. Dun dun dun. Move you out of the way. Itchy face. So, I think the thumbnail for this one's pretty simple. I'm going to have our 3 very different looking aliens. And then we're going to go family. Family. FW. Family. That should get clicks. Hold on. I wonder what this would look like with the... Don't worry about it. I was going to regenerate it with the Niji, which is anime style. But I don't know how well that will do. Suppose. Not a problem. So, what I said, the question was for the overhead Bayer Dynamic 77 Pros. My answer was I don't like over-the-ear headphones anymore, personally, because I live in a hot environment and I don't have air conditioning. It gets very hot in my recording room, and that would cause a lot of sweat because you're blocking the ear off, and that caused a lot of ear infections. So I've moved to in-ear monitors, which are these ones, which work just as well. But they don't have the same problem as keeping the ear so what the hell? Insulated. There we go. So it doesn't insulate the ear, so you don't sweat nearly as much, and the ear problems have decreased significantly. Nigel, I did briefly. It's the guys that do all the gun channels. So, I don't know. But the thing is, Teespring, which is the guys I use for merch, tie into YouTube. I don't think Bunker Branding does that. Then, I mean, you can get a lot more definition from the bigger microphones. I used to use Steinberg. So I made the same mistake again. So I used to use the Steinberg ones, and they were quite decent. My wife, who does the editing for me, uses a Steinberg pair of headphones. So she uses the over-the-head ones. I don't. But at the end of the day, most of your good quality headphones will do, as long as they're not like gamer ones. If you're looking at about $100 to $200 range, with non-gamer related, you'll get good quality. No, Steinberg. Let me see. They also do interfaces and stuff, but they do have headphones. They did have headphones? I'm trying to find it. Yeah, but any of your mid-range headphones should do. Yeah, so I mean, any headphones basically any headphones between $100 and $200 should definitely provide enough feedback for your microphone and all of that. I think you only really need to get into the super expensive ones if you're doing like professional grade audio editing. No, not a problem. I mean, yeah, so it's the what was I saying? Oh, merch. Yeah, merch is one of those things. It generates a little bit of money. I also don't push it as much as I should, but I don't like to be a nag. And the current merch, which is Teespring, ties into YouTube's interface, so it does some advertising on my behalf, which means less work for me. There we go. Family? What family? Well, how are we family? Fair enough, Solid. Soaring. Thank you for pulling past. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I hope my information was somewhat coherent and helped in some way. What I will say before you go is technique and comfort behind a microphone can always outdo a better microphone if you're uncomfortable behind a microphone. So being comfortable behind a microphone is worth more than an expensive microphone. And then correct technique and using the microphone is more important, in my opinion. So just keep that in mind. You too, Soaring Tales. You too. That's an old design. One more chapter. Just one more. Spam? We got spam? Do we get spam? Go away. Go away. Not seeing any spam. Unless we're talking about the food stuff. Okay, I think we're done there. And we can go back to this. Alrighty. Yes, that little heart thing is especially annoying for me because if I type something in the chat, I can't pin it until somebody else talks and moves it above the heart so that I can edit the message. Righty. What are we at? 2 hours, 26 minutes. Fair enough. Oh, medications are finally kicking in. Thankfully, I've got my quantum monster to help me. Well, we call it bully beef. We call it all bully beef. Funny enough, whether it's beef or pork. Bully beef is a brand, and it was the first brand, so everybody called it bully beef. So all the subsequent ones just called bully beef. Got a nice recipe for that. In theory, it'd work with spam as well. Do you want to hear my recipe? Well, recipe is a strong word. A thing to do with spam / bully beef. Oh, yes. Caffeine. Nigel, I did. I did show it somewhere, but I do have one. It's not in this room because it'll be pointless because of the green screen, but it is in the living room. I was very, very surprised. I was actually even more shocked that I didn't have to pay for it, because I'd heard that you had to pay for it. For some reason, I didn't have to, or it's not a thing. So it was pretty cool. Quite happy with that. Never thought it would happen, and it did. Yeah. So I mean, ours is more beef related. But what you do is, there's a special technique to this. You open the top, and you pull out the thing. And one, you don't get the whole thing out. So you've got the what's square, rectangle. Cut the top off, hollow it out, put cheese inside, put the top back on with toothpicks, and then put it in the oven. For whatever, I don't know. 200 for probably 10, 15 minutes. Or 200 centigrade, not 200 Fahrenheit. And then you've got a nice, cheesy thing to eat. There you go. My random recipe. Fair enough, Belvic. Thank you for popping past. Hopefully we can lull you to sleep. Me in the chat, having a chit-chat, can bring you to the land of Nod. Help the Sandman do his job. You too, Zanti. I hope you have a fantastic day. Right. Hello. Good morning, D. Hope you're doing well. Fair enough, 200F would definitely work. I think 200C is about 300F. Yeah, that does suck when that happens. I've had that happen to myself. Chronic insomnia. Blink and nothing happens, and you just keep going, I want to sleep, body. And your body keeps going, no! Thine shall not get a night's sleep. Fair enough, Brian. Fair enough. Yes, but you also need to, 185 can work. It depends on how quick you want it done, because you also want it a bit crisp. And you want the heat to get to the center and melt the cheese. I haven't cooked it in a while, but I think it was like between 185 and 200 C. I'm trying to remember what the temperature was. So you want the outside nice and crisp, and you want the inside nice and gooey. So that's why you have the higher temperature. It's probably better to have it at a lower temperature for a longer time. But this is specifically butty beef, which is beef. I'd imagine it would work with Spam as well. If you really want to get daring, you can just put an egg in there as well. Drop an egg in with a little bit of cheese. Put the top back on, and then cook it. What am I doing? Streaming. Oh my God. No, I was doing something. Oh, I was deleting that. Okay. Just making sure everything is sent to people that needs to be sent to. That we have all the things that we need to have things with. Music and stuff. Yes, that's pretty much it. Oh, that's good, Marcus. Turgal, thank you very much for popping past. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad to have you. Thank you for the kind words, and I'm also glad that you are enjoying the content. Bacon cheeseburger with an egg on top. Sounds perfect. I see no wrong there. Yes, so we do have one in the buffer. I've recorded tonight's Saturdays and Sunday, but tomorrow I'm not recording, so there's going to be one in the buffer. Which is good. Especially since I felt so crap the whole week. So hopefully next week's better. Less hay fever / flu or whatever this is. Then we can record some more. Although next week is a bunch of long stories. So I put off all the long stories for a very long time. So I just want to catch up on those. So long would be 25 minutes and longer. So that'll mean like 1 to 2 stories a day or videos a day. And then hopefully by the end of next week we're in a better position. I know the calculation is weird. I know 33 is 0 degrees centigrade. I just use a calculator normally. The names of what? The stories. Yeah, sure. I gave the names out when I narrated them. Yeah, so next week is going to be lots long stories, which we haven't done really. We did 20-minute stories this week. But next week we're pushing the voice again. If this flu / hay fever backs off, so that I'm in a better position. Because at the moment this is affecting my sleep and my voice because of postnasal drip. So my throat hasn't been great this week. Oh no, that first word. Specifically voice actor problems. But next week, hopefully, the sinuses are a little less annoying, and we can record longer. Because I want to push that stamina up, but also don't want to do it too quick. Names of the stories. I'm guessing you want the name of the story, so that's one. And tomorrow's is 2 stories in 1 video. Which is these 2. And you. And then the ones we recorded today are you and you. No, I don't have anything in reserve. I've got 1 video in reserve. What you've seen me record is all I've recorded. So, we're not in a great position, quite honestly. But we'll keep working to get ourselves into a better position. The other thing is, the moment I'm 2 weeks ahead, I get sick. Every time. 5 years. Every time I get 2 weeks ahead of what I'm supposed to be, a nice buffer, I get sick and have to use the buffer up. It is insanely annoying. No, Regal is not writing anymore, as far as I know. Good morning, afternoon, Banny. I hope you're doing well. I think after the interview with him, he didn't really start do writing anymore. He stopped soon after. I can check. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he was. He was also a paramedic, if I remember correctly. He's still active in the... No? Yes? No, he's not active. He is active. He's still active in the comments, but he's not writing stories, it looks like. His last story was 10 months ago. I don't even know what subreddit. Oh, it was an HFY. Yeah, so he hasn't posted anything in 10 months. Or longer. Yeah, I've had that as well. Every time it's your body relaxes and you get sick. I'm not sure. I think it's just relaxing, and then my body's just... You also get to a point where you're like, okay, I feel off today, but I'll still record. Or, I feel off today. I've got a 2-week buffer, so I don't really have to record today, so I won't. I think it's more that. I need more self-discipline. But also do need to, take it easy. So, been trying to find that good line between pushing the voice, pushing the work as much as I can without destroying the voice. And it's such a fine line to do because it changes every day. Yeah, I mean, it's also almost 10 years since his first story on HFY. He was one of the first main authors of there. So, I mean, a lot of life stuff happens in 10 years. What I am curious about... problem for not today. Well, that happens. I mean, especially if you're doing it as a hobby, life gets in the way. And it's understandable. It's very understandable, super understandable. It's also why Forgotten Dungeon very much kind of went on a hiatus for 2 years. And there's very sporadic as the author has life stuff to deal with. And when life stuff pays the bills and writing doesn't, then life stuff takes priority. Or it should. So, I mean, I understand it. It's a very, very common thing. Especially with new authors. So they'll write stories and they've got a million ideas and they write down all their ideas. They've got like years worth of ideas and they start writing on HFY. And once they've gone through that list of ideas, they struggle coming up with new ideas. So they don't post nearly as often. And then you move into a new phase of your life and it's just like, well, I can make some money or get a new hobby. And then writing becomes a distant memory. Adulting can really ruin one's hobbies. Fair enough, Marcus. I mean, world building is an essential part of writing, I think. I think a lot of people don't do enough world building before they write. But in the field of free online content, especially in a very restrictive sense of HFY, I understand why a lot of people don't. And I don't mean like HFY is super restrictive, it's just the genre. You're restricting yourself to a genre. I try not to be the person who says, well, actually, that's not a HFY story. That is just a science fiction. A good story is a good story to me. But some people, and rightly so, because it's part of the rules, a lot of stories get nixed. So you have to write specific types of stories. So that makes it even harder to keep writing because, you're restricting yourself. Fair enough, Balbec. But I mean, the thing is, you've got your ideas out, you've posted your stories, you've got a decent reception, but you're not earning money from it. It's a hobby. You're doing this as you're in college, you're leaving college, you're a young adult, you're just doing this for the first time. And then you have to do other stuff. So writing becomes, I used to do stuff in my 20s that I don't do now because I just don't have time. I would love to, maybe. But, Magic the Gathering, for instance, which I'm playing now again for the first time in years. I used to play that stuff all the time in my teens. And then adulting happened. And then 20 years go past and you go like, I haven't played Magic in 20 years. Let's see if we can do that. Most of the time you either have time or money. Rarely do you have both. I think there are some writers that show a lot of skill. And I try to showcase a lot of those authors. Yeah. So I'm very much on the fence whether you should make your hobbies your job. Because the job is still a job at the end of the day. There are good parts of a job, there are bad parts of the job. The difference between a hobby and a job is you can ignore the bad parts. You can go like, I don't want to do something today, so I don't have to. But when it's a job, you have to do the thing, whether you want to or not. That makes a big difference. And it's not like forcing yourself to, it's like I'm a bit sick today. I don't want to narrate, so I won't. You can do that if it's a hobby. But if it's your profession, you're like, well, I need to narrate if I want to pay the bills. So there are swings and roundabouts about making hobbies jobs. You can also very much destroy your passion utterly by making your hobby a job, which happened to me. It's happened to me. So I used, when I was in my teens, back in the dark ages of computers and stuff, I was obsessed with computers. I love programming, computers, all that stuff. And then I got into the field, and then 5 years in the field, and today, don't care. I still don't care. Today, I'm just so burnt out on that from 20 years ago, well, not 15 years ago, that I had that hobby ruined, and I still can't do it. For the most part. And I don't even do it as a profession anymore. But what I do think is people should try new things. You never know what you might like. So, I think there's also a lot of people that don't think that a good job should have a bad day. And any job that they try and it has a bad day is not a good job. A good job is one where most days are neutral. So, and the good days outweigh the bad days. That's a good job, but you still have bad days. Yeah. I mean, the same as my computer. I mean, when I was younger, Linux or whatever, I'd reformat my computer at a moment's notice just to try something out. Now it's like, if my computer's burning, it'll only matter if it doesn't turn on. I don't care. Yeah, you can have a bad day for no reason. There is no job on this planet where you don't have a bad day. Or at least an okay day. You know, not everything's going to be great. But if most of your days are neutral, which means nothing good or bad happens, and your good days outweigh your bad days, then on average you're winning. Oof, corporate restructuring. Yeah, that's horrible. So my worst job, by far, worst job, it was working in corporate for me. I come from a blue-collar family. I went to trade school. I was very interested in computers, and I got into corporate environment. I hated it. I didn't hate the job. I hated the people. Just the culture, corporate culture, just not work. I could never assimilate into corporate culture. The backstabbing, the nagging, all of that. I could never deal with it. So 5 years I was in that industry. And then eventually I was just like, I've had enough. I have no plans for the future. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I'm leaving this company. I'm leaving corporate. I'll go work as a laborer again. I'll go work as a tradesman again. I'd rather spend my day moving rubble than work in a corporate environment again. But that's me. Some people thrive in a corporate environment, and that's good. You got to find what works for you. Yeah. Well, I suppose military is corporate in its structure, or corporations are military in their structure. Yeah, very much. So, yeah, when you're doing a job of whatever, after the workday, you don't want to do that thing. So for me, reading, I don't read anymore for my own personal edification or entertainment. I only read if I absolutely have to. Unfortunately, corporate restructuring happens all the time. For the most stupid of reasons. Oh. I mean, even working for yourself has its own problems. I mean, there's no golden solution to any problem. And anybody who tells you that they have a solution to every problem is probably lying. Most of life is in the grey zone. There's no absolutes. Unless it's a cat. There's absolutes with cats. You know, there'll be a pain in the ass, a pain in the neck, pain in the ear. Unless they want food, then they'll love you. That's the universal constant. Cats and dogs. So I do implement some levels of quality control. So I look at the upvotes of a story before I narrate it, which, you know, I shouldn't, but it does work as a way to help me determine at least a mildly popular story. And most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, those stories are good or are competent. But yeah, sometimes I narrate a story and I'm just like, no. And then throw the narration away and move on to something else. It happened the other day, in fact. I narrated a story and it ended up being, animal abuse in some way. And it could be viewed as animal abuse. And I'm just like, nah, it's great. Fine, I'd rather take the hit than read that story. Goodbye, Belbic. I hope you have a fantastic day and your D&D campaign goes well. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the content, Zach, and I try my best. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, yeah, I mean, it's integrity, and also, it's just not a good... Well, it wasn't a case story, and then the animal exploitation point of view was like, yeah, probably not. So I understand the CPR. So you go and you push your hand against a mattress to see how fine it is, which is irrelevant because you should lay on a mattress to see how it feels. Instead of just using your hand, because you don't sleep with just one hand, you sleep with your whole body. So it looks like CPR when they're just pushing on the mattress. I think is what you're getting at, Samantha. I could be mistaken. Yeah, well, I mean, some countries are better with the unions than others. Yeah, fair enough. And if you think it's CPR wears you out, it wears the other person out even more. I mean, that makes them dead tired. Dead tired. And on that really bad joke, I think I'm going to call it a day. We are approaching 3 hours, so we have made mostly 3-hour streams the whole week, which is awesome. And we've narrated stories during each stream, which is also awesome. I don't know yet whether we have had a week of streams that have not been demonetized, but, you know, I was hoping. And then what? So I will not be streaming tomorrow, as per usual. I'll be back on Sunday to continue this whole process all over again. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend or evening. If you're working, be safe. If you're not working, be safe. And I will see you all on Sunday. Cheers.